Bethesda has sold its soul. They just recently announced that they would be introducing a subscription service to their absolute disaster of a video game, Fallout 76. Now, I have resisted the urges to dogpile on this game up until this point, but I've reached my limit. This is one of the most asinine, moronic, and tone-deaf things I've seen a publisher do in a long, long time. To take a game that has nearly single-handedly destroyed your reputation and make the calculated and conscious decision to make it worse. And this is arguably one of the worst things they've done. Now, a quick backstory, because like I said, I haven't talked about this game on my channel before, and I just want to give a little insight into my experience with it. I own Fallout 76. I have a physical copy sitting on my shelf next to me right now. However, I did not buy it. My wife, knowing I'm a big Fallout fan, went and got it for my birthday last year. And even though I wasn't stoked on what I had been seeing and hearing about 76, I of course popped it in and figured I'd give it a shot. And I shit you not, this is a true story. I walked around for hours. Nothing happened. I would stumble across locations. I'd kill enemies. But as far as I went, and as much as I looked, I couldn't find any quests. Even things that seemed to hint at stories and potential activities never triggered anything. So I just thought, well, shit, I mean, I've played all evening and still haven't found anything. I might as well go to bed. But then I log back on the next night, and it turns out my game was bugged so that it wouldn't trigger or activate quests. So I went back and walked through all of the locations I had already wasted my time going through, only for quests to start popping up and telling me I should explore them all again, or destroy all the enemies in this area. My game was bugged from the second I started. My first moments within this world were compromised by an issue that didn't proc the activities within the game, and due to how the game was structured, I had absolutely no idea it had even happened until it started working again when I came back. But the sad and most pathetic part about it is that the version of the game I experienced where it felt completely empty and that there were very little compelling things to do, that wasn't all that far off from the actual functioning experience. And I very quickly decided that this was not something I wanted to put myself through. So when my wife came to me a few days later and said, "Hey, how do you like your game?" I told her the truth. I don't lie to my wife. I said, "Honey, that game you got me is complete fucking dog shit. It's horrible, borderline unplayable." And she was all upset. You don't like your birthday present?" No. This game is historically bad. It is all over the internet how bad this game is. I will not pretend to like it or suffer through it any longer. We're just going to have to accept it and move on. It's not your fault. It's Todd Howard's. He lied to us and he betrayed us. I felt super bad about it. She was so disappointed that I didn't like it, but it was basically national news how shitty Fallout 76 was. So she was going to find out sooner or later. And at the time, I did contemplate pushing on and making a review, basically deciding if I wanted to earn the right to shit on it or not. And I looked around at the hundreds of videos already doing that, at the multi-hour long breakdowns that thoroughly and meticulously deconstructed it and highlighted every horrible thing it's done, from the bugs to the lies to the atom shop and even a fucking canvas bag. The world launched a full-on assault against Bethesda in this game, and I just decided I don't need to take part in this feeding frenzy. But today, I'm hungry, and Bethesda just gave everyone another free pass to dig in on them all over again. And I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can make my wife $60 back if I monetize this video. So let's jump into what they've done. As I stated, Bethesda just announced a subscription service for Fallout 76. It's $100 for a year or $13 a month. For a game with this poor of a reputation, for already being considered a cash grab, for being greedy, to now come out with something like this, it's just almost unbelievable. This is a game that, if anything, should be going free to play. If Bethesda was smart, they'd say, hey, this game was not up to our quality standards. We made a lot of mistakes, and we're trying to learn from them. We want to do right by our fans. You know, typical PR bullshit, and we're going to make it free. And guess what? I still wouldn't play it. I still wouldn't like it, and I'd still despise things like the Atom Store, but to literally do the opposite of that, To have the audacity of charging a subscription fee to a game that was sold for $60 that also has a microtransaction item shop that is also notoriously horrible, greedy, and anti-consumer, I just don't even know how to put my shock into words. Just in general, it's a terrible move by Bethesda, but it gets all the more worse when you find out what's actually included in the service. So let's run through that. And as you can see by this list, you'll kind of be able to walk through it with me as we go along. This is more of a rant video. I'm going to keep it light on editing. Okay, first thing, private servers. Embarrassing. They're charging you to remove the randoms from your game, charging you to play the way you've been playing Bethesda RPGs for years. And I realize servers are expensive, but this is a problem they created. And servers are a heavily requested feature. To now block them off behind a very expensive paywall, it's a giant slap in the face. And then you move on to the scrap box. Everyone complained about the item limit, right? Well, Bethesda has generously come up with a solution, and they're just going to get rid of it. But what's that? You have to subscribe to an item box? They're putting a basic quality of life feature behind a paywall? They're selling you a solution to a problem they created? Sounds about right, honestly. Again, their decision to make this a multiplayer game forced them to put an item limit in the first place as to not crash their trash servers. And now they're going to charge you a convenience fee to remove the limitation, a recurring convenience fee at that. So far, we're paying just to remove things from the game that suck. All right, let's see. What's next? A survival tent. A new placeable fast travel point with a stash, sleeping bag, and more. So this seemingly tiny little feature that we've already seen in games like Red Dead Redemption, honestly, it's just an insignificant thing they've made, most likely just to pad this shallow list of benefits. Keep in mind, you're subscribing to a sleeping bag. When you say it out loud, the absurdity really shines through. You are paying $100 to be able to pitch a virtual tent in a bad game. How is that even remotely a subscribable feature? It isn't. They're just trying to artificially attach value to this overpriced, shallow money grab. Like, what happens if I unsubscribe? Are they going to take my fucking tent away? It just goes to show you how desperate they are to throw literally anything in this thing to pad out the list of features and try and make a Warcraft level subscription fee off of you. Atoms. They're going to give you 1,650 atoms a month, which is their virtual currency. Now, the problem with this is the virtual currency exists in the first place. It's the atom shop in general. It's disgusting to even have that in the game. Fallout is an RPG. You shouldn't be selling me cool armors and outfits in a microtransaction shop. You should be placing them in the world for me to find. You should be rewarding me with them for performing actions and completing quests. The very idea of having a cosmetic item shop in a Fallout game is a disservice to one of the best parts of Fallout. Reward through exploration and discovery has been a huge component of Bethesda games for a long time. It's just wrong to even have a shop like this. And I don't care that most of the equipment is cosmetic only, because I don't want them to be. I don't want the armor and clothing I wear in an RPG to be cosmetic only. I don't want to buy the samurai armor and have it be just cosmetic. I want to find it in the world, and I want that shit to have stats and give me plus 10 to melee weapons or something, like a regular RPG, like I would in an older Fallout game. Samurai armor has been in older Fallout games. I don't want to have to buy a suit with real money. I want to find one in the game, and I want that shit to boost my charisma by 2. And while we're on the topic, I want charisma to actually fucking mean something as well. The problem with them selling you this in their subscription service is that they have a virtual currency to sell you in the first place. And the reality that this is now a repeatable reward for you to earn monthly highlights their intention to expand the Atom Shop further, rather than focusing on meaningful in-game things for you to find and be proud of. Let me offer a little advice. If you ever come across an RPG that sacrifices RPG elements to sell you stuff in a microtransaction shop after you've already paid $60, I'd recommend you not play that game, and I'd most certainly recommend you not pay into a subscription service to receive currency for said shop on top of it. The next slap in the face comes by way of the exclusive Ranger armor. Nice, Bethesda. Sell us the armor from the cover of the game that everyone likes better than yours. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that. And again, you're subscribing to a set of armor that will only act as a flag and notification to everyone around you that you got ripped off. Again, why is this not something we earn in our RPG? And lastly, icons and emotes. And I really want to see these. The animation work must be absolutely off the charts to charge $100 in a full price game with an existing item shop to perform a gesture. I mean, these things must be elaborate. What sort of gestures have Bethesda come up with that I need to subscribe to in order to use? I mean, let's really break this all down. The only two things that even make sense as a service are the private servers and unlimited storage. But in the context of this particular game, those features are just fixes to problems Bethesda chose to create. Things that no one wanted in their Fallout game. So the service, the subscription offers, is just the removal of problems Bethesda created. Removing people you don't want to play with and removing the artificial item limit they set in place. The only other real occurring value is currency for the item shop, and again, that's something people hate. People despise the fact that this is in the game, and it's been harshly criticized. The item shop in and of itself has been a major controversy and point of contention because of how un-Fallout it is, and now you can subscribe to it. The rest are just novelty items, minor, insignificant things that Bethesda threw in there to make it seem like a bigger package, but it isn't. This is pathetic. This is arguably the worst thing Bethesda has done in the history of Fallout 76 next to releasing the game in the first place. And considering how many shitty things this game has done, that's saying something. In fact, this service takes various controversies, things people have complained about like the server storage and the item shop, and then proceeds to throw it back in their faces by selling us the solutions and doubling down on the things we've expressed our disdain for. Bethesda has sold its soul, and they deserve what's coming to them. They'll spin this as them supporting the game and showing an ongoing commitment, but you know what I think this is? I think it's the opposite. I don't think they could be telling us any more clearly that they've given up on Fallout 76, and they don't care. They view it as a failure, and they're going to squeeze every last cent that they can out of it because they see the game as a lost cause, an unredeemable mess. And if the reputation of the game is already this bad and barely anyone plays it, then might as well just commit to it and pile on the greed even further. The game's screwed, so who cares? Maybe we'll make a few more bucks off a bunch of fools who don't know any better. Well, you know what? There is a downside to this. There is a consequence to Bethesda's continued fuck-ups. Your reputation. Bethesda's reputation is destroyed. You went from a company that pumped out perennial Game of the Year contenders to a joke in the span of a year. The cost of you continuously screwing over your consumers and making these abysmal decisions is your reputation. And it may not hurt you right away, but over time, you'll notice it. We've seen it so many times before. You've sowed the seeds of doubt for every project you create moving forward. And not just from Bethesda GameWorks, but you'll start to see that creep into every game under Bethesda, the publisher. And if you don't course correct, it's going to end badly. It's so painful to say this about the creators of some of my favorite games of all time. People have always had faith in Bethesda. I mean, just ask anyone what their top 10 games of all time list is and see if they don't have a Bethesda game on there. I'd be willing to wager almost all of them do. And now we're sitting here hoping they don't fuck up the next Elder Scrolls. Decisions like this do have long-term effects. They do have lasting repercussions because they hurt the perception of your company. They hurt your reputations, and customers that once bought everything you put your name on become apprehensive. And then apprehension turns into them just giving up on you altogether. This latest debacle has not helped the perception of you. So whatever your next project is, it better deliver. And it better not pull any of this bullshit, because that would probably just about do you in. I want to believe in Bethesda. I want them to make great games because despite their flaws, they've made incredibly special experiences. But they're not beloved anymore like they were just a few years ago. It just goes to show you how fast it can all come crumbling down when you don't do right by the people who trusted you. And things like this hurt even more so when we're desperately trying to find a reason to trust you again. Don't subscribe to Fallout 76's subscription service. In fact, don't play it at all. I know I'm not supposed to tell people how to spend their money or time, but I mean, this is just bad. If you like this game and want to play it, I can't stop you. I don't understand it, but I don't understand wanting to be tied up, gagged, and flogged by a stranger either. Some people just like to hurt themselves. But if you can help yourself, please don't support these practices, because Bethesda is just one company currently pulling shit like this. And if we can make poor business unprofitable, then we might make our games better in the future. Till next time.